Question
Yes,
from Deirdre. The pre-order courses for the ARPG available on your website right now pertain to everything shown tonight.
that's
Um,
correct.
it is, and there are also ARPG courses for Blender stuff, including one coming up
Yes,
on
you
how
can
to make with
specialize
assets
if you want, or you can get the whole lot.
and music. Um, and there's a lot of stuff that we had to wait for Godot 4 to be stable before we even started on most of this, which is why it's taken this long. But there's a lot of stuff made, and like the music stuff's already out and good. And there's a lot of stuff still coming. I'm particularly looking forward to seeing what happens with models and animation.
Yes.
But the first of the Godot ones is going to be creating a procedure generated dungeon, which is going to be all about the code we use to generate the dungeons, how we do things like specify where the start room and the end room are. The throne room is a double-sized room, so that needs a whole different set of rules. Unique rooms, lighting, volumetrics, effects,
And actually being able to do
optimization.
those unique rooms, the other
Mhm.
thing that you could do, obviously, we probably won't scope creep to that extent, but you could take what you've learnt and make a much bigger room. So it doesn't have to be a 2x2, it could be a multi-leveled room if you wanted to,
Yeah,
because
we,
you're,
we we're not currently playing with the uppy downies, but you
yeah.
absolutely could.
Yeah, totally. And that gives you the ability to even just space out a room that has a big chasm in it, for instance, if you wanted that
Yeah.
type of effect in your
Now,
game.
this isn't a specific particle course, but we will look at things like how we get the flaming skull in the exit room, how we made those torches, how we made those portals. Um, it's got things like how to get the collision shapes, how to get your occlusion layers work, your what's it called? I've forgotten the word. Occluding object behind, not occlusion as in light.
Culling?
Yeah, thank you. Occlusion culling.
Okay, yeah.
Um, so if I'm looking at the wall, I'm not rendering all the rooms behind it, which saves a huge amount. Like that made my game go from 20 frames a second to 60, which is worth it. We'll also be looking at what options you can put in for people with higher end machines. Like maybe you really want ground fog. I turned it off. Wasn't adding enough, but it was taking 5 to 10 frames a second off.
Yeah.
Um, screen space reflection. Um,
I mean,
how to get ambient lighting working with SDFGI, which is not obvious.
yeah, each one of these things that you end up adding, um, like most things, the more shiny you want the thing, the more it's going to cost you in terms of either like if you start adding a lot of physics objects to a scene, that's going to usually impact your
Well, we're
your
talking about physics
CPU,
objects as
your
well,
cycles.
because we're going to be deciding what props can go where and setting up rules for that. So
Yeah.
not every library and table is going to be the same. And then how you're going to deal with character bodies walking into rigid bodies, because by default, they'll just stop each other. We don't want that. We want them moving.
Yeah.
Um, which does lead to infinite inertia, which is funny because it means you walk into a table in Hulk smash, but still. How to generate our little light spell. It's not these aren't the final spells, but you might want a little light going down the corridor so you can see. Like everything you've seen today is building towards that course. There's still some optimization I want to do,
Yeah.
and I need to plot the right path through it, the curriculum. But yeah, that's the first of the Godot parts of that. Other Godot modules in these courses, other courses in this module, rather this pack, are going to include things like combat, character customization. I mean, everything's on the Kickstarter, right? Um, Inventory systems, magic systems, like all of these things.
So there's a question there about how many courses in total do you think this will end up being? One of the things that the sun that's very bright.
Area
Anyway,
7,
so one of the things that it can
have
be
drama
quite
degree.
quite difficult to pinpoint when it comes to the number of courses, because occasionally when we create a course, it can be, oh yes, this is going to be a course, and it ends up being so short that it needs to actually be part of another course.
Mhm.
Um, Alternatively, you get the flip side where you go, "Oh my word, this is too much, and it's spread out too far and wide, that it's no longer capable of being self-contained." So we end up splitting things. The only way of going through that, some things have a logical um, containment. So if we did
Mm.
particles, you wouldn't start talking about nav meshes with particles, I would assume.
No.
Similarly, in Blender, if we were talking about presenting your objects, we may be talking about setting up lighting, setting up how you do your render settings, etc. but we wouldn't be talking about modeling during that. So there are certain courses that are self-contained as well. So the answer to how many courses do you expect to end up with the at the end of the RPG package, I'd probably say on the RPG page it probably puts it all together really nicely, and I'm just trying to find that at the moment so I can actually talk about
A
it.
few. Like, we don't want
Yeah.
to just add some just for the sake of them. Like, we're not trying to milk money out of people, but realistically, if we did the entire thing as one giant mega course, not everyone wants everything on there.
Oh, so it's a big problem. If we did let's say all the content comes to 100 hours, there'll be plenty of people out there who go, "Oh, that's
Nah.
amazing value for 100
Oh, no, no,
hours."
no. With Blender and music, everything else, we're talking like
Oh yeah,
three,
it'd be
400 hours. But yeah,
uh, but the flip side is true. Someone sees a course that's that massive, a lot of people I've heard them say, "Oh, that's too. I've got no time in. How am I going to put that amount of time aside?" It's very difficult,
or
especially
maybe you're not interested in
all
how
the
to do
Blender
the
stuff.
procedural generation. You just
Yeah.
want to know how do I get the combat working, or I don't care about the Godot stuff. I just want to learn how to make music.
Yes.
In
Just.
which case, you watching this stream was a strange choice
But thank
because
you
it was a
anyway.
Godot stream.
And if you do sign up for any of the things that are currently on the website, they are bundles. So, for instance, if you signed up right now for the all three learning
Uh,
paths, then you'd automatically be enrolled in the courses that are currently out. So that is the LMMS course, it's the concepting course, and there is a procedural weapons generation course in there as well.
I just froze my computer, but it's back now.
Oh, hello, welcome back.
That's why I was ohing. Um, I mean, yeah, we're really proud of what we managed to do with the prototype in Godot 3. Already, the Godot 4 stuff is looking incredible.
I'm going to do a bit of reading out from the light in front of me. So, this is just from the tier list that we got. These won't necessarily be courses, so don't hold me to that. But these are the titles of the potential courses we were talking about before. So, in terms of asset packs, we're going to see a dungeon, medieval weapons, UI elements, a rigged and animated character, and a soundtrack. We're also
Mhm.
going to, course wise, be seeing an atmospheric game soundtrack course, modular generated weapons, which is one of the ones that's already out, and the ARPG, we called it the core course. That's the mage generation thing that Jan's talking about for the moment. Then we moved on to the next stretch goal, which was the overworld, and we got
Well,
the
hang on. Core course is a module in itself. So that's the generation, um, third person control and combat,
yeah.
AI, um, inventory system. Like that's a whole module, series of
Yeah.
modules itself.
As I say, this list is not definitive.
Yep.
So we have the overworld, we've got the nature and outdoors, we've got particles, which is what we've been talking about, and then we've got the game soundtrack part two. So we've with the soundtracks, by the way, the plan is to have one that has your traditional RPG, medieval style, flute, tambourine, the typical thing you would associate with medieval. But then
Brown.
for the other game soundtracks, there's two more left on the list. They will have different thematic elements. So one will be more, I'm thinking at the moment, cinematic style, and one of them will be more synthwave style as the three
Kazoos.
broad genres. And Jan's going to do a kazoo one. You heard it here first. Thanks, Jan. I think people are really going to enjoy that. I mean, it
When
sounds
we
like we're
have more
joking.
time on a stream, ask me about my kazoo story because I'm responsible for a lot of kazoos.
Someone note that. We'll ask
Yeah.
him next week. Then we've got 2D UI element creation, concepting your world. Concepting course is already out. We've got creating your own dungeon, which is Blender course, creating your own environment within Godot. Again, that's part of what Jan's been doing so far. Then we've got character classes. We've got asset packs of armor and clothing, and then the courses. We've got the concepting, creating nature, Godot particle systems. Now, some of these sound like repeats, and they were, so that we've added to the concepting thing character concepting. So that is
Right.
now available for everybody as well. Creating your own dungeon, creating environment in Godot. I just read that. Sorry. Creating nature in Blender, Godot particle systems, character and weapon classes, spells and projectiles, keys and locks. Then, almost there, we've got asset packs of lovely loot and another soundtrack. Then we've got courses on modular clothing and armor, making modular dungeons. So obviously, again, that's a repeat of the dungeons nice and early, but this time we'll be specifically
Well,
looking
no,
at...
we weren't originally going to be making modular
No, we weren't,
dungeons.
exactly. So we're building upon
Yeah.
previous ones. So it won't be a separate course on modular dungeons. That is the dungeons course that's being put together at the moment. Then we got random loot, procedural buildings, procedural characters, and modular weapons in Godot. Then finally, the character creation. We're going to be doing a little asset pack with the NPCs, and we're going to give them funny names as we always do. What have we got here? Character design and creation, rigging, animating, implementing, dodging, and rolling. So in the game, you'll be able
Does
to
this
come out of
list
roll.
have like a rest break at some point?
A character customization, and finally, equipping armor and clothing. Thank you. And I can breathe.
Look,
And
did
yeah,
you
and
hang
things
up on
I've
me?
gone because I shut down the browser, but he's not. We can still see him. He's typing to me now. He's saying, "Mike, where have you gone? I'm all alone." Look at him.
Michael.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. There he is. You can still carry on talking. You know, everybody able to see you. You're still there. That's the way this program works. It's brilliant. I can disappear and you can still show.
Good, good. He hung up on me. But on that note, we should have finished about 15 minutes ago, and I need to eat some dinner.
Was that list 15 minutes long?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll
blame
go
it
with
on
that.
you. So thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the dungeon. That was a sentence I shouldn't have said. I hope you enjoyed the less of that, Michael. I hope you enjoyed the tile set shenanigans and Michael's giant list. And yeah, I'm going to get back into the light because it's dark in here all of a sudden.
My lighting has changed since the sun set, but never mind. Well, it's not quite set, but it's not out in its full glory anymore.
Yep. So we should probably do some sort of sign-off thing.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye.
See you. Bye. Press it.
I'm getting
Press
out.
it. Press it.
Bye.
Bye.